Y'all, it's me, Gospel Lee, and today I am reviewing the album Between the Stars by the band Flyleaf. I reviewed the deluxe edition of the album, which has 2 extra tracks, one being a demo track and the second track being a live version of one of the songs on the album. Real quick note, this is the band's first album with their new lead singer, Kristen May. Their previous lead singer, Lacey Sturm, stepped down because she decided that she wanted to focus on having a family, raising her family, and being there for her family with her family. So let's just get right into it. Tracks that stood out to me. Number one, the first track that stood out to me was the first track, which is Set Me on Fire. I feel like Set Me on Fire really kind of sets the tone for the entire album. It's just a really full track. I feel like it's got its shares of highs and lows, and it's really taking you somewhere. When it's done and it's over, you really feel like you're pulled into the album, like you're immersed in it and you're like ready to go. From the first note, Kristen May really establishes herself. Like you really hear it in her voice. She really establishes her presence, not only on the album, but in the band. Another track that stood out to me was the track that follows right after that. It's called Magnetic. So it starts out with this really, really simple bass riff that kind of carries out throughout the whole song. The verse is really, really stripped. You've got that bass riff going and like some light drums. And then in the chorus, you have everything. You got all the guitars, all the drums going, and it's just really, really full in the chorus. Another thing I liked about this track were the vocal effects that were being used. It was some delay and some distortion. They're placed in this spot that builds an interlude that leads you to an instrumental break. And it's just so strategically placed so when you hear it, it really kind of gives context to where they're wanting to go, being the instrumental break and then back into the chorus. Also, the lyrics, not only throughout the song, but especially in the chorus, I feel really, really tie in well with the title of the song. I really feel like in the chorus, we're really capturing the idea and the concept behind the title of the song, Magnetic. City Kids is another song that really, really stood out to me. The song starts out with kind of a light and ambient mood, and that light and ambient mood creates this wide open, unique space for you to really appreciate what Kristen is doing vocally. And in the middle of all of that happening, we have this really subtle kick that adds a drive to what Kristen is doing. And halfway through the first verse, a snare is added to kind of help with that drive. And so what this subtle kick and snare does throughout this first verse is it drives and builds us up to the chorus. And the chorus is just full and electric, and it's just all out there. But you can't really appreciate that if you don't have that really subtle ambient mood with that subtle driving kick and snare. My most favorite track on the album would have to be the track called Platonic. Really, really, really appreciated Platonic because lyrically she paints this portrait of what it looks like to be in a platonic relationship with somebody that you might like. And vocally, she captures the pain of what it feels like to be stuck in that relationship, knowing that it's never going to move to that next level that you might want it to be. So basically, it's like a documentary on being trapped in the friend zone and how horrible it is and how painful it is. There's a lyric that I like a lot. It says, "We say our sweet goodbyes, platonic jagged knives." When I listen to it, I'm like, you know what? I've been there. Like, I've lived there. And in this song, I feel like she's saying, yeah, I know that you've lived there. I've been there too. I've lived there too. I know exactly where the scratches are in the dinner table. I know where the scratches are because I carved them there with the platonic jagged knife, sucker. She really conveys that. And it's really, 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 really interesting to listen to. Overall, I give it 4 stars. It's a very solid album. I give it 4 stars out of 5. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I feel like Kristen's entrance into the band is kind of like in Iron Man 2 when Don Cheadle is War Machine and it's the first shot that you see of Don Cheadle. And he's like, yeah, it's me. I'm here. Get over it. Let's move on. I feel like Kristen really does a good job of just kind of addressing that, just even in the first song, and just kind of going on from that point. So she did a really, really great job. As her first album being the front woman of this band. She did a great job. Very, very excellent. I feel like this is a great fit because the band casts these backdrops which allow her the freedom to create a lyrical landscape that's filled with every emotion. I will say that, you know, her style and her vocals are different than Lacey's. However, when you hear it from the first track, it's super, super easy to root for Kristen and pull for her because she's killing it. Basically, if you can't afford the album, I would just maybe suggest skip Starbucks a couple times and buy the album. If their tour stops through your city or a city near you, cancel your bar mitzvah and see them on tour.